Good afternoon. Thank you to SALT and the Techhuddle team for the invitation and for holding a stage where Namibia's technology community comes to think out loud together and again all protocols observed. My name is Sean van Eeden and I'm here to represent Foresight. I want to start by saying the most important thing where people are too polite to say at an AI conference. Somewhere, of course, in this room or within Winter, woke up this morning and said, is AI replacing my job? I'd like to talk to what saw lunch break, that it's quite intricate. So let me answer directly. No, I don't think it's going to replace the job whatsoever. Done well, AI doesn't replace your people. It promotes them. It takes the photocopying, the chasing, the retyping of documents, the driving documents from one side to another across the country, and it hands the time back to those people. So your people can do the work only people can do. Jamie reminded us that technology is a human story before it's a technical one. That's the question Foresight gets out of bed every morning. Because the future of the workforce isn't fewer people, it's people lifted. So who are we? Foresight is a digital AI transformation partner and a technology group. We take a portfolio of fourth industrial revolution and our people with data-focused solutions, and we use them to design, to develop, to deploy, and to grow real outcomes for our customers in Namibia and Africa together. We're not here today as a vendor with a product to push, but we're here today as a partner that has done this work across enterprises, across operations, business enablement, and the public sector. And the lesson every time is the same. Technology doesn't transform a business. People using it well does. Now, let me make that concrete with one of the solutions that we are going to bring to you today, Foresight. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about online electronic signature programs, aren't they? Foresight is a modern electronic signature platform, and the promise is 3 words: create, send, sign, and it's done. Picture what that gives a person back. The contract that used to be printed, scanned, couriered to the coast, signed and driven back over 3 days, now uploaded once, signed from a phone anywhere in the country within minutes. And underneath that simplicity, it's AI power and automation. Intelligent workflows, reusable templates, automatic filing, that's all wrapped in an enterprise-grade security, which is end-to-end encryption, digital certificates, and tamper-proof audit trails. I see that as an important point. That record who signed what and when. So for this room, that trust is the whole point, because people only hand work over to something that they trust. And working over to this trust, it's hosted in Microsoft Cloud. There's data sovereignty in mind, and it lives where your people already work together, which is inside Microsoft Office, inside Teams, inside Outlook, in Word. That's not AI taking any job. That's AI doing the heavy lifting and giving a person back their afternoon. So here's the thing. It's a journey, stage by stage. And as an organization climbs it, something happens to its people. They move up. From doing the task to checking the AI that does its work, to directing the whole workflows that run themselves. So most organizations have no map for that climb whatsoever. They don't know what stage that they're on. They don't know what good really looks like. So Foresight built one. Okay? Foresight built 7 stages of AI. And this, for my audience today, is a maturity model that takes you from prompt and paste today to AI orchestrated work by the end of the decade. It's the lens we use to meet every customer and every workforce exactly where they are and show them where they can go next. And there is no other better person to walk you through this than the man who lives and breathes it. He's the divisional head of our NDE division at Foresight. That's not an accident. He's the architect of how we think about AI maturity. Put your hands together. Please welcome my colleague Aldo van Tonder. He will take you through the 7 stages of AI. Thank you very much.
Do you 100% clear? You guys can hear me fine? All good? Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present here this afternoon. I have managed to listen to some of the sessions during the course of the day, and it's quite phenomenal how the technology community is adjusting to this digital economy that we are in and is continually growing. I think what a lot of people are also asking us is, how real is this AI thing, and is it a bubble that's going to burst, etc., etc. I think the reality is, no matter where you are, we see this in all the countries that we operate in and across the globe, that if you are not starting your AI journey, you are almost too late. And I think that's one thing that is critical to take away from this afternoon session. We, utilizing this maturity roadmap that we developed, our customer zero. We were the first customer to go on this journey. And we are not at level 7 yet. We are very close to it, but we are not there yet. And I'm going to give you examples of what it is. And the reason why we focus on this is that what will make AI work is how people adopt it in your organization and how you think differently about how people will use it in your organization. We've been using AI for a very, very long time. I mean, you've had Alexa on the Samsungs, you've had Siri, you might be using Copilot. There's a lot of technologies that have already utilized the AI capability, but it's always the human that will make it a success. You can have all the tech in the world, but if someone doesn't prompt it, someone doesn't give it an instruction, someone doesn't automate it, it's not going to do anything for you. AI, in its lowest form, is algorithms that work together, that can learn from behavior and therefore make recommendations. And the simple example I always want to use is, if you look at the screen and you see the background on the presentation, and everyone in the room says it's pink, the next person that's going to ask the question, the probability is the answer is going to be pink. So AI has got no emotions, it's got no feelings. It cannot think for itself, cannot do for itself. It can rapidly execute certain actions, but it is incredibly important that a human is still part of this. You'll also see that I referred to frontier. Frontier is a term that is dubbed in the technology world, initially initiated by Microsoft, as an organization that is fully invested and fully operational using AI in their business. There is only 15 companies globally that is walking this path with Microsoft as a technology vendor, and we are proudly one of them and the only one on the continent. AI adoption and how you go through it is very, very important, and we refer to it as adopt change intelligence, not change management, because there's intelligence behind it. And it serves as how you change the behavior and the culture to accelerate through every stage to give you the real benefits of AI. We're seeing a lot of customers that are investing in the technology, and when talking to the exec, the CIO, the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, a lot of them are saying, but I'm using this stuff, but I'm not seeing the benefit. So I can automate the document, that's great, but what is the impact on my manufacturing process? What is the impact on how my people are utilizing it? And a lot of people are struggling to get through it. And that's what I want to share with you today. What we've developed is a structured maturity roadmap that is measurable, that has got defined outcomes that you can utilize. There's key things that you need to establish per stage, and it is to do with human behavior, and it is to do with the technology itself. There's continuous learning and responsible AI. I've heard that word a lot today, is that we have to be responsible in the way that we utilize it, but also ultimately get to a phase where we can autonomously and using agentic AI be proactive, and data can help make decisions with human oversight. Very important, the last aspect, the human oversight. So what is this roadmap that I'm referring to? I'm going to take you through very high level, and then I'm going to give you examples of 3 of the stages and what it actually means. So number 1, most organizations are kind of sitting between stage 1 and stage 2. They're either experimenting or they're learning. In other words, the teams are exploring basic AI tools, they're doing simple prompts, there's a lot of curiosity around it, they might be using it in their production environments already, but they're kind of still playing with it. In stage 2 is where you really start learning. You build the foundational skills and the confidence of what AI can deliver for you. And you'll see, even though we are a very, very strong Microsoft-aligned organization, there's no tech pictures on any of the slides that I'm going to show you today, because a maturity model is immaterial to what the technology is that you actually utilize. So in level 2, people start learning. They start building skills, they start building confidence, they understand that AI is safe. They understand that there has to be guardrails in place, not barriers, guardrails. A barrier is an immovable object. A guardrail can be moved slightly, but it keeps you on the right path. It's also important that you start identifying who is the change makers, who's the people that are seeing the benefit, and let them start evangelizing around it. And then we start talking about innovation, looking at defined use cases. How can I optimize the procurement process, automatically push an RFI out or an RFP out, evaluate all the responses based on certain criteria, shortlist for me X amount of candidates, and then take it through the normal process. That could save you hours and days worth of work. Practical example, our organization itself has increased efficiencies in certain areas by 30 to 40%, in other areas by 300 to 400%. That means people are producing the output typically of what 3 or 4 other people could do. Doesn't mean that they are replaceable. It just means that they can now be applied to business critical functions where a lot of mundane activity can actually help you automate, especially if you use the right tools and processes around it. When you start reaching stage 4, you start expanding it across teams. It's no longer a siloed approach. A lot of people do POVs, proof of values, proof of concepts in a specific area, and that's kind of where it stays. Our approach is a top-down approach. In other words, from the executive. So when we talk AI, everyone knows what AI means. When we talk automation, everyone knows what automation means. So AI starts expanding across the teams, improving productivity, reshaping the way that people are working, reshaping the workflows. AI, and whatever tool you use, in our instance it will be Copilot, is not something sitting on the side that I use to ask questions with. It is part of my daily work. It is part of what I use every single day to fulfill my role as the Chief Digital Officer and Information Officer for Foresight. When you start moving to stage 5, it becomes an institutionalization. It becomes part of the way that we work. Everything starts becoming AI-first processing. So anything that I do, I start thinking, how can I use AI to better this specific activity that I've got? Whether it be in the field, in the office, in the corporate function, wherever you might be. When you start reaching stage 6, you've got strong governance in place, you've got the correct security in place, you've got the data security in place, you can measure and ensure that responsible AI frameworks is being utilized, and that will start giving you predictability on how can I further improve. Because now that I've standardized things, I get access to the data, I can start seeing, here's another step in the process I can automate, here's another area where I can start using AI in my environment. And ultimately in stage 7 is a fully integrated, all in A to Z, AI embedded across every single system, across every single decision, across every single business operation. Again, 2 practical examples. When we put out a position for someone to join the organization, we get a fair amount of CVs coming in, sometimes in the hundreds. A typical talent person is not really able in the HR department to timeously sift through all of those in the old ways. So what we do is we built a little agent using AI, and what it does is it measures the CVs that are coming in against the advert and the job spec that was put out, and it creates a shortlist from there. The second step that it does is it then starts looking at the KPIs and KPAs of that job, and it starts creating a further shortlist. Then it goes and does social crawling and starts seeing what can we find about this person, their behavior, did they publish articles, is there something we need to know about them on LinkedIn, whatever the case needs to be, and that creates us a further shortlist. And from that, we start interviewing. In the interview process, if I'm involved in it, I will sit live with my co-pilot and ask it questions like, is this a textbook answer? How confident is the person about the response that they're giving based on the question that was asked? And I have to be very honest with you, we are yet to hire the wrong people. So just doing that gets our talent people to focus on getting the real talent and use it to optimize their processes in their environment. And secondly, from there, it immediately identifies the candidates so we can shorten the process of having to go through tons and tons of information to actually getting the best candidate for a position. One simple use case example. Another example I can use is we received an RFP the other day. I put it into my co-pilot and I said to her, please map it up to all of the offerings that we currently have and create me a high-level risk matrix of if I were to respond to this tender. We did that, gave us a good response. We used that as the baseline. We added certain things in. I asked my AI to give me additional costing, work me out the scope of work, even do the project schedule and the plan for me. And after that, we actually submitted the tender and we already made it through to the next round. So just to kind of give you an idea, again, a very simple process. Look for those use cases and see who can do it. Now, if I dive a little bit deeper into 3 of the stages, I want to show you stage 1, 4, and 7, just so you can get an idea of what it actually means. So what do we want to do in stage 1? It's where they call AI curiosity. So a team in an organization is starting to become curious about how AI can be used. And again, a lot of your people are currently in this phase. They know about AI, they've heard about it, they might use it in their personal capacity, but it's not institutionalized across the business yet. So they start doing hands-on experiments. They start doing certain sessions, they start sharing a bit of knowledge, they start prompting, seeing how they can do it. And that is a cultural and mindset change. Instead of having to go and look for a document, I can ask my co-pilot or AI, find me the latest version of the document and do what it needs to go and do. By that, I save time, I get operationally more efficient. So a very first thing on the human side is that there's that cultural mind shift change that has to happen. That's why consultants that typically help customers through this journey are PROSPI certified, which is the global adoption and change management principles that looks at human behavior and how they would need to change and what is the best approach to help them to adjust to the change that is coming. Then very important, the capability and skills is exploratory. People don't know what they don't know. They don't know how to start utilizing it. They don't know how to ultimately create the best prompt to give them the best response. I always say if someone wants to start experimenting, go to, as an example, your co-pilot and say, in my role, give me the top 5 things that I can do to make things better for myself. And it will give you an idea because it understands the way you work. It's embedded in your environment. It's integrated into your work environment. You're not using a third-party system out there where confidential data are shared and everything. It's part of your corporate environment. That starts building skills and confidence. Then you start looking at, all right, so I've got some processes. How can I start automating some of these processes? And we're not talking about a workflow engine. What we're talking about is intelligent automation. In other words, making a decision based on certain processes and data and moving it on to the next stage to be able to do that for me. I, as an end user, can now create my own, what is now referred to as an autopilot. So I've got an autopilot that runs in the background for me, and what it does is it looks at my inbox, it looks at my calendar, it looks at my Teams chats, and it culminates that for me in what is important, what do I need to action, what is urgent, automatically accepts and manages my diary on my behalf. So if there's an opening, it will accept the meeting. If it comes from certain people, it will ask questions. If there is a conflict, it will propose a new time. I don't have to go and do that anymore. I've got an autopilot that I did through prompting, not through code, through prompting, that automatically manages my day for me. That gives me back a lot of time in the day to focus on what is really important, and that's talking to customers. And the outcomes that you're going to get is optimized way internal talent will start getting identified, and those skills can then start being fostered. So that's when we do a maturity assessment, which is obviously the start to understand where you are. This is typically what would happen in your stage 1. If you jump through the stages and we go to stage 4 as an example, this is where you start scaling processes across the organization. To create an AI committee, create an AI forum, and a centralized point where automation, agents, processes, things that you want to do gets governed and gets deployed across the organization. You don't want one sales individual to go and create an automated quoting little agent for himself, but 10 other people are doing the same thing. Look at the best of breed, control it, and start scaling it across the organization. If there's people doing the same function, take that same AI capability and expand it to all of them so that all can get the benefit. So when you start looking at stage 4, you're really starting to look at automating routine tasks, like things like updating, creating certain things, sentiment analysis, all of those. All of those capabilities are already built into all of the LLMs out there. Depends on which one you choose. Use Copilot, you've got access to all of them by default with no additional cost. Your deliverables will be new governance framework. So how do I control my structured and my unstructured data so the right people only get access to the right things? I always say, if you want to see how broken your organization is, go and ask for confidential information in any of your search environments in your business and see what comes back. Those roles, those responsibilities, those security postures are incredibly important to set up to ensure that a user with elevated rights or no elevated rights doesn't have access to potential confidential information. And that we take you through stage 2 and 3 to ensure that that governance is in place. Governance comes straight from AI policies to governance control to data security to all of that. It's not a technology discussion. It's a policy and what you have to have in place to ensure that this is a success. Then you start looking at skills. So you start scaling the AI usage across departments. We typically see in corporate functions like HR, finance, administration, sales, operations, best use cases immediate wins. Immediate give benefit back to the business. Benefit means I've got more time to do stuff, or I can do things quicker so I can do more of it. So it's either going to save you time and cost or it's going to make you more money. Then you start looking at formalizing a lot of the procedures, ensuring that the shift to standardization is there and not siloed approach. And this is, and the executive from the top starts actually meeting and coming together. And the outcomes of that will be visible, measurable outcomes on productivity and cost benefit, guaranteed. So you will see this thing used to take 10 minutes to do, it now takes 1 minute to do, so I can do 10 of it at the same time as what I used to be able to do. And I can turn that into efficiencies, productivity, etc. Do a lot more with the same people that you have. All you have to do is help them change their behavior in the way that they actually utilize it. And then to give you an idea, as an example of what would start happening in stage 7 is when you are really frontier level in there. Everyone and everything that you do in the business becomes a strategic asset to the business. In other words, I'm working and I'm automating certain things, and I'm using my Copilot, or I'm using my AI tools, and that is now an asset to the business. And that asset can get redeployed for people to utilize as well. So there's no more mundane, administrative, heavy lifting tasks there. Everything starts becoming autonomous, everything starts becoming automated in your business. Doesn't mean that you have to lose your people. It means that the people's mind shift change at this level would be there, that they are able to actually use it. I can give you multiple examples where I sit with CEOs of very, very large organizations globally, and their words to me are simple. You take my AI license away, I resign. I cannot do my work without it. Because that's how entrenched it is in their environment. And AI is actually a very cost-effective way to do it. Because it allows you the ability to scale and utilize all of the fancy tech that is out there to change the human behavior that people actually utilize it. So it's a culture and a mind shift change. It has been at this level, everyone is already in that mindset change. The skills are there to be able to transfer. So rather than in an induction session, letting someone know, well, this is where the coffee machine is, and that's where the bathroom is, and this is how we fill in the paper, and all kinds of stuff like that. Rather spend an induction session saying, here's the top 5 prompts that you're going to need to do in your job. This is how it's going to help you in your organization. So the skills and capabilities will be there. Processes and procedures are all going to be linked to strategic objectives. If it doesn't add value to the business, why am I doing it? So every single initiative in AI is ultimately linked to a strategic or an operational initiative, and they are fully AI connected. It is an enterprise-wide, interconnected AI ecosystem in your business, not necessarily with the outside world. You can expand it if you choose to. Ongoing optimization. So here you say, now that I've got it, how can I continuously optimize it? When I, as an example, speak to customers about, using Copilot as the example, every single week I speak to them, my presentation has to change based on new features, new functionality, new things that's available to be able to use. And that by itself is phenomenally important, because that means that whatever I am doing now, potentially in a couple of weeks' time, it's going to be old. They say that the technology cycles used to change in a 1 year, 2 year cycle when the internet started. It moved to a little bit more stricter 1 year cycle of technology changes. Where we are today, technology changes every 6 weeks. Now let that sink in for a second. There is something that was not even thought up 6 weeks ago is now working in the world. That's how fast we're moving. And I cannot reiterate enough, get on this journey as soon as possible, but do it the right way. Do not forget your people. They are the foundation and the heart and the most important aspect of your organization. Enable them to use it. Enable them in a secure, governed, controlled manner to use it, so you as the business can get the benefit and they can enrich themselves by utilizing these skills. So what we want to try and show you is there is a way that you can do it successfully, no matter what technology you use. This is a controlled, structured, mannered way. We, as a listed organization on a stock market, was the first organization to do it. We are customer zero. We have taken multiple customers globally through this journey, and they are various phases. Large organizations are sitting on level 1 and 2. Some small organizations are on 4 and 5. Some of them are starting to reach on level 6 and 7 already. But there is an approach that you can follow, and we will help you, guide you with our partnership with SALT to actually get you from zero to hero using AI in a very, very rapid way. Thank you very much from me and from Sean for the opportunity to present today. I hope that it planted a little seed with you to think differently. There's a lot of tech that was spoken about today. There's a lot of things that you need to consider. All I'm asking you is don't forget your people, help them on this journey through it. That's it from my side. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate the opportunity. Sean and Vanessa, back to you guys.
Thank you very much. Apologies. And I just want to close off with, I see our QR code is not up, but once it comes up, please scan our QR code or just come to our stand on that side, because you've noticed that I've given very little context on our solution on foresight, but there was a reason for that. I would like you to interact with me, that I can explain to you what the technology is about and how to use it and how it is available to you as an organization or as a user. Thank you very much to the audience. Thank you very much to the Huddle team and SALT for having us today. Thank you.